Well, hi everyone. Welcome to today's Career and Professional Development info session as part of our virtual visit week. My name is Ngan. I work at the admissions office and it's my pleasure to be here with you today. I'll be mostly in the background for tech support and also supporting with the Q&A towards the end. But now it's my pleasure to introduce the Director of the Career and Professional Development Office, Ms. Sheila Krishnan. Sheila, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Nan. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session today. I'm really excited to share with you an overview of the Office of Career and Professional Development and provide you with some information about our services, about the employers that we work with, and about our graduate outcomes. Let me go to the next slide. First, I'd like to share that the mission of our office is to support students where they are on their individual career journeys to empower them in building careers that fulfill the greater mission of advancing public health. So we do this by individualized career coaching, so working one-on-one with students and alumni, professional competency and skill development, network building and education around career paths, industries, and employers. So we serve Harvard Chan master's and doctoral students. Doctoral students also have access through services through the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and we work with Harvard Chan alumni and our partner employers. We're currently a team of 5. As Nan mentioned, I'm the director of the office. Next to me on this slide is Andrea Heller, who is one of our career coaches who just joined our team last summer. Allison McAleer is the Assistant Director of Career Coaching and Education. Below that on the bottom row, Maria Ramos is our Senior Program Coordinator, who really helps with all aspects of keeping the office running, but works very closely with Courtney Burke, who is next to her, who is our Assistant Director of Employer Relations. So Courtney is completely externally facing, but we do work closely as a team to let her know what we're hearing from students in terms of what employers do they want to be seeing, what industries are we hearing that students are interested in. The career fit framework that our office uses that really encompasses everything that we do is this cycle that you see here on the screen. So we see career development as a very cyclical process, not a linear process. And we recognize that people go back through these stages during all periods of their career. So you may have 5 to 8 years of work experience, and now you're considering getting your master's. You've probably done some of this process before in terms of reflecting on what your strengths and interests are, exploring what the career and education options are, which is maybe leading you to consider applying for an MPH or an SM degree or a doctoral degree, and then developing the skills and experiences to make you prepared for the roles that you're interested in, but to also make you a strong candidate for the job application and develop the skills in managing your career over time. And then connecting with people and opportunities, just because you'll hear us say this over and over again, probably most career offices will emphasize the importance of networking, not only to get the roles that you want, but to advance in your career over time. So some of the resources and services that we provide, I'll go over them just briefly. Career Connect is the jobs board for our school. The company that runs it is Simplicity. Some of you may have access to them at the undergraduate institutions that you may be at. This is where you will see job postings, information about employers, where you can schedule coaching appointments. And those of you in the MPH program who are required to do the field practice experience will also be in Career Connect to settle your learning agreements and to identify opportunities there. We use Canvas. We have a site on our Canvas platform, which is mostly used for courses, but the career development Canvas site includes a lot of online resources because we recognize that students need to be able to have access to this information at any time, day or night, or on the weekends, or when they have space to carve out time to focus on their career development. So we have a very comprehensive career toolkit that you'll have access to. We have workshop recordings of a lot of the employers and sessions that have come in over the past several years. So even if an employer isn't coming back next year for whatever reason, you do have access to what they presented to our students before. We have some industry discussion boards so that students across degree programs at the school can connect on similar interests and industries. There's a wide range of industries that our students do go into that I'll get to a little bit later in this session. Engage is a platform for the school where a lot of our student organizations are on, and offices where we post all of our events and workshops. And Express Coaching is an event where we sit in the cafeteria during the lunch hour. So if students have quick questions, we want to make sure that we're readily accessible to answer them. If you choose to become a student here, you'll get access to the Harvard Chan Alumni Directory and the Harvard-wide Alumni Directory. So we recommend using these in tandem with LinkedIn, actually, but they just give access to personal contact information to help build that relationship with alumni. And then interview prep is another tool that we have to help with virtual interviewing, just because we've seen that become more of the norm, interviewing on Zoom. So sometimes if students need practice preparing for that, they can use that tool. This is a sample of some of the career programs that we offer. So this semester, we've been doing a few themed career weeks. We've completed Global Health Week, Consulting Week. Next week is Governmental Public Health Week. And then we'll be doing a Biotech and Pharma Week. And so each of those weeks offer a number of events. So whether it's an employer coming in or doing a virtual event or an alumni panel from alumni who work in that industry, or we've had some HR managers or recruiters to talk about the application process, how to get into specific organization. So offering these all at once, just because we want to make sure that we're trying to meet the needs and interests of all the students who come from really diverse backgrounds. And these are some of the industries that our students mentioned being interested in, want to learn more about. You may have seen that the school has a number of international students, and we recognize that the job search process can be additionally challenging if you are an international student, and we want to help provide the education and resources to navigate the process from the moment that you get here. So we work closely with the Harvard International Office. Elizabeth Capuano is the immigration lawyer assigned to work with the Chan School, and she is an incredible resource to help you understand CPT, OPT, the visa deadlines, and the paperwork that you'll need to file if you want to use any of those resources. We have a number of guest speakers come in. We bring in some of our alumni who are international students to share how they navigated the process. And especially if you're interested in staying in the US or using OPT or your STEM OPT afterwards, we want to make sure that you're aware of all those resources. A number of our students choose to do fellowships after they graduate as well. So if you're interested in the Presidential Management Fellowships or Fulbright, or Harvard has traveling fellowships that give you a stipend for a year after you graduate to do research, also the ORISE fellowship. So there are a lot of different fellowship, hospital administrative fellowships, a lot of different fellowship opportunities that are great to get your foot in the door or offer a lot of professional development and networking when you are in them, if they're a 1-year or 2-year fellowships. So we want to make sure we educate all of our students about those opportunities as well. And we have a lot of alumni who've done some of these, so we bring them back in to speak to students. So next, in terms of virtual services, we do offer in-person coaching. We're back on campus, but we've kept the Zoom coaching just because we know that that's sometimes more accessible for students. So the School of Public Health is on the Longwood campus, which is on the Boston side of the city. It's not in Cambridge. So sometimes if students are cross-registering and getting back and forth across the river is a challenge, it's just easier to get on a Zoom call. So we've continued offering that. And sometimes we offer evening hours depending upon what time of the year is it, or is there a lot of students that need to get in to see us. This is a screenshot of the Canvas site that includes the toolkit and some of our workshop recordings and other resources and links that I mentioned earlier. Again, this is the comprehensive career toolkit that walks you through all of the stages of career development and then provides you with some additional resources and links and worksheets. So knowing that there's many different learning styles, that some people want to be a little bit more self-directed or do things on their own, whereas other people will come and attend our event. So we're trying to create a lot of resources and materials to meet everyone's needs. One thing that we do every year, and if you choose to come here and you're interested in working closely with our office, is that we do have a student advisory committee. So we get a broad representation of students across degree programs at the school or industries. So some people who have worked in different industries before, who are particularly interested in providing feedback to our office and helping shape some of the programs and services that we offer. So at orientation, we'll have an application for that if that's something that students are interested in. It's a wonderful leadership opportunity. And they also serve as liaisons to get the word out about our programs and events, but also kind of ears to the ground so that we're hearing what are students really interested in, because every year a class comes in and sometimes there's more of an interest in one topic versus another topic from year to year. And we want to make sure that we're staying on top of that. So I'm going to transition into talking a little bit more about employer engagement in terms of posting jobs and opportunities, some of the panels, info sessions, and office hours that we host, how we've done career expos or career fairs, and then some of the career treks and site visits that we offer. So we know that connecting with employers and alumni are one of the key things that students are looking to do when they come here. Since COVID has happened, career fairs have really kind of fallen by the wayside, for a number of different reasons. So either employers not wanting to travel or not feeling that the in-person career fair is really that effective. So this year, what we did was sort of a two-pronged approach. So what you'll see is a screenshot of our virtual career fair. We use a platform called Brazen, and employers are able to have a booth and students get in line to speak with an employer, either a video chat or a text chat. You're able to upload your resume in advance. Employers are able to invite students to scheduled chats if they choose to do that beforehand. So it's a nice opportunity to connect with employers about specific roles and opportunities. And then 2 nights before the virtual career fair, we had an in-person event at Trillium Brewing, which is not too far from the school. And we invited any of our employers who wanted to come and also alumni who were in town. So it was a really great opportunity for students, employers, and alumni to connect in person, and maybe not in the more formal career fair type of setting, but to just have a social opportunity to connect, and then have the virtual career fair to talk more about resumes and opportunities. And we felt that it was a success this year. So this is likely what we will do again next year. Here are a sample list of employers who have participated either in our career fairs or come to our events or hosted info sessions themselves. So as you'll see, it really transcends across a lot of different industries. So hospitals, universities or centers at Harvard themselves hire our students, consulting, nonprofits, pharmaceuticals, health plans, a lot of different opportunities available depending upon what your interests are and what you hope to do afterwards. A few of the key accomplishments that I can go over in our last year is we know that students come to Harvard Chan because they are focused on their careers and they want to grow and they want to advance. And a lot of our students do use our office. So we see about 600 coaching appointments a year. That might be a student coming back multiple times, which is totally fine, but also a lot of people just coming in. Maybe you want a resume review, or you want to practice for an interview, or you've never negotiated your salary before. So that's something a lot of career service offices can help you with. So between Allison, Andrea, and I, we see a lot of students, a high volume every year, and we do encourage students to come and meet with us. It always is hard for when I look at the exit survey and see that some students didn't even realize that we were a resource. So I'm glad that all of you are here, and hopefully know that if you choose to come to Harvard Chan, you have us as a resource. But any school of public health that you go to should provide some amount of career and professional development support. We do host a number of career and employer events. So whether it's a workshop on how to change your CV into a resume, or how to network or get more comfortable with networking, or interviewing, any of those topics, one of us may lead them or facilitate them, or we'll bring in a guest speaker. And then sometimes employers want to come in and do info sessions. So there is a lot of programming that happens. One of the challenges that students often face is just how to balance all of it. So how to balance carving out space for your career development while you're also being a student or cross-registering or all kinds of things. And so we help a lot with goal setting and to making it feel manageable, and also helping people recognize that you can't possibly do it all. So how do you choose and make sure that you're being strategic about how you spend your time when you come here? We do host 2 virtual career fairs, so one typically in September and one in February or March. And we've done some virtual career treks. So instead of going to different cities like we have in the past, we used to go to New York and DC and go to visit a couple of different employers. So many employers are just not hosting large groups of students like that anymore, but they are willing to do virtual visits. So, or sometimes local employers in Boston will host a group of our students. So last night, Deloitte actually had about 60 students at their offices. So we're working on, again, both approaches, the virtual and the in-person access. Career Connect, typically in a year, we have about 2,000 full-time or part-time job postings. Those are sourced in different ways. So some of them are employers who we have relationships with, who post specifically with us or a select group of schools. Some of them are employers who post broadly using Simplicity. Some of them come to us from either faculty or alumni, or some of the students that work with our office that have relationships with other institutions or find postings that they think that their peers will be interested in. So those job postings are sourced from multiple different places, but we do offer a high volume of opportunities to students. So this is these are some of the industries that our students go into, and this is data from 2018 to 2020. So it's 3 years worth of data. And I would say it's pretty consistent actually on how the numbers fall based on kind of annual data as well. The one thing I do plan to do, so you'll notice that 41% of our graduates go into hospitals or healthcare, and that is a very broad range. So that could be working in a hospital, either on the research side or the clinical side, or healthcare might be a provider or a payer, policymaker potentially. So there are, what I do hope to do is to pull out anyone with a clinical degree. You'll find that there are a number of students who come to Harvard Chan that either have a clinical degree or are currently a medical student, and that skews this data quite a bit. But there are a lot of students who go into either hospitals or healthcare. Followed by universities or research. So in research roles in academia or think tanks sometimes can follow under the research category. So 16% there. Another 10% go into consulting. So again, it might not only be the large management consulting firms. There are a lot of either healthcare consulting or boutique consulting, nonprofit consulting, but our students are attracted to that industry. So we have about 10% that go there. Another 9% into government, 6% into biotech and pharma. So the Boston area is a big hub for the life sciences and biotech and pharma industry. So increasingly a lot of interest among our students in going there. And then another 7% into NGOs or nonprofits. Other for-profit can be either the tech sector, or private industry is hiring more people for public health roles. And then a 2% go into private practice or maybe self-employed entrepreneurship or something like that. These are just a couple of maps here in the United States. Sometimes students are wondering, do most of our graduates, just go to Boston or New York or DC? But really we have people that go all over North America, to the West Coast or to the South, Midwest. So students and alumni all over. And then here's a map of the world. So you can see a lot of our students go to Europe or Asia or countries in Africa as well, Australia. And just to kind of briefly cover, how has COVID-19 impacted our work in career services, but also for public health, students interested in public health or graduates. So one of the biggest changes are how employers recruit. So typically, again, the in-person career fair has often fallen to the wayside a bit, especially at the graduate level. Some schools are still trying to make that happen. We've kind of figured out this hybrid approach, but a lot of employers are hosting their own coffee chats or office hours on their own platforms. So it's really important to use LinkedIn as a resource to connect with employers that way, or to follow employers that you're interested in to see how are they reaching out to diversify their applicant pool. Seeing an increase in hybrid and remote work. So in our graduate outcomes data from the past couple of years, we've really seen about a 50-50% of people who are either going completely in person, and then 50% who are either completely remote or hybrid. So that really seems to be the new normal, that you will probably work, depending on what industry you go into, in some sort of hybrid format, and then preparing students for developing relationships or networking when you are onboarding in a completely virtual team is something that we've been talking about a lot. Again, the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So often, COVID-19 wasn't the only pandemic that happened in 2020. So a lot of, racial justice, and attention towards that, and the need for employers and organizations to recognize how important DEI is to their operations and to their talent pool as well. Offering additional virtual coaching and programming, which I mentioned earlier. We've also seen a lot more interest in jobs outside of the US, which we're trying to be on top of as well. So understanding that students are coming here from all over the world and don't necessarily want to stay in the US or find it very challenging because of some of the barriers in place. And so connecting them to the alumni who have gone outside of the US and finding jobs there. And then more of a value placed on work-life balance and mental health. So we know that a lot of our students care about that. Public health can be quite taxing. So making sure that, we're identifying employers who can speak to how they value their employees' well-being. And so I'm happy to take questions. If you're, going to a lot of these sessions, it might all start to blend together. So 3 things you might want to do next to learn more about our school and our students: looking at the graduate outcomes data on my office's website. You can go to Harvard Chan's website and search for career professional development. You'll get to it from there. We have other resources on our website as well about public health sectors or jobs boards to look at if you're trying to get a sense of what can I do with this degree after I graduate, or where should I start looking? And then you can search Harvard Chan alumni on LinkedIn. You can search alumni from any school of public health on LinkedIn if you go to the school's page and then go to their alumni tab. So that's a really great way to just become more familiar with what do alumni from the school end up doing, or where do they work, or where do they live. So highly encourage that in your process as you're making this decision. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for a wonderful presentation. And to our attendees, please feel free to drop your question in the Q&A box. I've just received the first question. This prospective student asked, are career services available to alumni after graduation?
Absolutely, yeah. So for the first year after graduation, we treat alumni just as we would current students in terms of coaching or events or programs. And then after that, the only thing that really gets limited is the coaching, because we have a small staff and we have to prioritize current students. But you have lifetime access to the job postings and the jobs board, and you're welcome to come to any of the events. We also have an Office of Alumni Affairs that provides some career and professional development events. There's alumni chapters in different cities that they host things like that. So we work closely with them, and sometimes alumni tap into their programs and events as well.
Great, thank you, Sheila. The next question is, what are some ways that newly admitted students or students beginning their graduate studies at the Harvard Chan School can engage with your office?
Yeah, so if you're newly admitted, you can feel free to reach out if you want to set up a one-on-one to speak with me or to learn more about our resources or services. I also wouldn't, everything will come to you in time. So in the summer, before school starts, you'll get added to Career Connect, so you can start looking at job postings then. In August, if you want to wait until then to set up a time with us, that might make more sense as well. It depends what degree program you're in too. So if you're in the 45 credit, you're thinking about your practicum and what you're going to do, you're welcome to connect with us early on. We will be at orientation. We will go over all of these things then. And if you're interested in our student advisory committee at that point, you're welcome to apply and can be connected to our office that way.
Thank you, Sheila. The next question I see is from the students asking, are there specific opportunities at Harvard for MPH graduates? I guess you touched on this a little bit, but student is wondering more about pipeline for certain roles at Harvard or internships.
So we may be on the list of target schools for a handful of the employers that recruit here. There are a number of opportunities that employers post here that are not specifically for CHAN, but maybe most schools of public health. In the past, there have been some fellowships and some programs that recruit exclusively our school and another few schools as well. So it's a mix, I would say.
Great, thank you. And next question from Sarah. So she's wondering if we have data on where graduates from the MS program end up.
Yeah, so if you go to, and I can maybe put that link in the chat. If you go to the graduate outcomes page, there is some information there. If you have a specific question about, I see someone is asking about the MS-80 and EPI program specifically, I can follow up with you, or you can send me an email and I can pull that, because I think what's on the website is just more general by degree program and not field of study.
Great, thank you. And I'll take the next question. So what kind of support does your office offer for students who are not sure what type of career they want to pursue after graduation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's completely normal and typical and fine to come in and have a general idea. So that's where we really focus on that self-reflection piece, whether it's having a conversation with you to helping you think about what are some of your strengths and interests, or what courses should you take. We have a strengths-based assessment that we offer called Strengths Profile, which is similar to Strengths Finder. If you've taken that, that helps students understand what are some of my realized strengths and unrealized strengths, and what kind of roles should I apply this to. So that's a really great way to use our career coaching to help you kind of get more clarity on how to figure out what you might want to do with your degree.
Awesome, thank you. And to our attendees, please feel free to drop your question in the Q&A box. I'm seeing another question. So it might not be relevant to the work that you do, Sheila, but this question, the student is asking if there's scholarship opportunities or teaching assistantships.
Yeah, I believe on the Office of Financial Aid's website that they keep track of a number of scholarship opportunities. So that's where students should look if they're interested in those. And then teaching assistantships will often go through the department. So once you, if you choose to come here, then getting on your department newsletter and listserv is the way to find those.
Awesome, thank you. We have another question from Hugo. So they asked, is there any type of support for startup foundation and development during a PhD program if that career path is of desire?
Yeah, so the Harvard Innovation Lab is one of the places where a lot of our students who are interested in entrepreneurship or starting their own businesses will go. There are courses offered in entrepreneurship. Rick Segrist, who is the program director for the DRPH program, often helps students in that form, or students can cross-register also at HBS if they want access to some of those. So that's definitely an area of growing interest among our students.
Great, thank you. I see a few questions about opportunities for international students. So the students is asking if there are career opportunities for international students that will be requiring visa sponsorship after, and also if job posting include international positions and fellowships, or only US based.
Yeah, so I can answer both of those. There are career opportunities for international students who will need to use visas afterwards. It's a very tricky process, I will say, and it can be very ambiguous. So sometimes, and if you look up online lists of employers who sponsor, it's not often consistent with who actually will sponsor. So some employers will say on their websites or on their applications, they'll want you to say whether you require sponsorship. And maybe their policy is that they don't sponsor, but they often will if you're the right candidate. So we bring in a speaker very early on in September of every year to talk to all of our international students about how to navigate that process. His name is Dan Beaudry. You can look at his book on Amazon. So often tapping into the network, or starting early on and being pretty aggressive about the networking and being clear about what your goal is a way to navigate that. I also saw a question about, are the job postings for international roles or just US based roles? There are some international postings in there. I would say probably the majority are US based, but we are working to increase the number of opportunities that get posted elsewhere.
Thank you, Sheila. And I guess the next question is, I guess you touched on this a little bit, but could you share more if the office facilitate connections with employers outside of the Boston area, and then what type of opportunities are there for students to engage with and network with employers locally and also, outside of the Boston area?
Yeah, so we have employers, every week pretty much doing info sessions or office hours or wanting to recruit talent to students. So attending those events is one of the best ways to connect with employers. Using LinkedIn to look through our alumni to see, often a lot of the job postings or events come to us through our alumni. And so, figuring out where our alumni work and if you're interested in their roles or their companies. We also host alumni office hours, so alumni who have agreed to speak with students. So there's a lot of programming through our office that will help you to build those connections. But we also really encourage students to be self-driven and motivated to figure out, to come up with your own lists of ideal employers and to figure out how you're going to reach out and network, and we can support you along the way. But we know that building those skills now is going to help you across your career overall.
That's great. Thank you, Sheila, again. The student is asking about Dan and the book that you mentioned earlier. Would you mind repeat that one more time?
His name is Dan Beaudry, so it's Beaudry, and his book is called Power Ties, and it's the U.S. job search for international students.
That's great. Thank you. Seems like we went through almost all of the questions. So to our attendees, if you have any further questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box or in the chat. Otherwise, I think it's been a great session. Thank you so much, Sheila, for your time today. And to our attendees, we hope you are enjoying Visit Week. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to the admissions office or to the Office of Career Professional Development. We're looking forward to receiving your applications and welcoming you to the Harvard Chan School in the future. Thank you so much. With that, I'll be signing off from Boston. Thank you, Sheila. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.